I'm grateful for the hard experiences that I had, which I touch on those in the book too. I'm because they taught me so much about being human and being real and having utter compassion for another human being.
Welcome to the Going North podcast, where you will be encouraged, informed, and empowered to embrace your dreams and advance in life through authorship. I'm your host, best-selling author, certified leadership trainer, and book enthusiast Dom Brightman. Be sure to check out the goods and services from every guest, as well as some of the books from yours truly, the host. Now let the fun begin. And today on the Going North podcast, where we bring you some fabulous humans from across the globe. Today's no different. Today is no different because we got another fabulous author in the building, And she's from the Sacred Stories Media crew, baby. So that means she's got one of those random golden crowns hiding somewhere because she's extra fabulous. This fabulous lady right here, my goodness. She's on a roll, hot dog. She's on a roll and a hat trick because she's now on book number 3, y'all. Book number 3. A hat trick indeed. A hat trick indeed. Because this fabulous lady, she's actually the first Feng Shui expert on this podcast. And she actually went and became certified to do Feng Shui under the Western School of Feng Shui. And she founded her own business called Cherish Your World, beginning to serve clients and writing about topics she felt passionate about, including releasing clutter, clearing one's life of soul-sucking relationships, activities, and cleansing the heart of past traumas. And it goes even further down the road to the fact where she actually worked as a full-time parent and as an assistant professor at the Ohio Wesleyan University, and even earned her PhD in political science from the Ohio State University. So she's also a doctor. Just don't ask for that needle, though.
Yeah.
And her joys in life include laughing with loved ones, dancing, reading, meditating, running, and being in nature. So let's give it up for the lovely lady herself, Ms. Laura Staley. How you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing very well. I'm actually magnificent. Life is precious. Life is good. It's a good day. Very grateful. And thank you so much for the honor of being a guest on your show.
Oh, my pleasure indeed. My pleasure indeed. A fellow book writer who loves the color blue and lives in North Carolina. Got to have you on.
Right.
Yes, indeed. So as with all introductions, I'm pretty sure there's some back of the resume stuff I forgot to mention. So mind filling in any cavities or missed some fillings, and tell us a little bit more about who is the lovely Laura.
Oh, wow. I guess it's just, I expanded that repertoire to realizing that there's a holistic transformation, and you definitely touched on it. I think I've had this recognition that it's not just the outside and rearranging belongings and letting go of things that you don't love, but it really is the deep inner work as well as that outer work, because our outer spaces are kind of metaphors for what's going on inside. And sometimes if we've got a hot mess out in our physical space, what's really happening is there's a hot mess, if you will, on the inside of ourselves. And it's an opportunity then to do both and to begin that conversation. And I have found the richest and most rewarding freedom in doing that inner work, of really finding that peace inside my heart and grieving the losses in the heart, and sharing that and holding space for others who may be going through similar kind of experiences. So I've lived through a lot of intense experiences, and some really rich and beautiful ones. Hope to have many more, maybe less of the very intense hard ones. What that creates is just this awe and gratitude for life and a deep compassion for what people may be going through at any given moment, and to really hold space for people and to listen deeply to myself and others. That deep inner work really allows you to see all the different expressions of humanity because you can see them in yourself. And maybe you're not feeding the anger or the jealousy or the envy or the shame so much anymore, and you're just feeding the gratitude and the love and the compassion for yourself and others. And then the curiosity and the wonder begin to really open up inside yourself, as well as in a relationship to the space that you may be living in. And you could look at a piece of artwork and realize, wow, that gives me the creeps, and it always has. So you can permission, right? Permission to take it off the wall, because the creepiness in yourself has kind of taken a back seat and gotten quieter and softer. And you can be just really tender with those different parts and pieces of yourself, and not hold them in such fierce judgment, but go, wow, this is what it means to be a human being, because I do have these different parts and experiences, but I don't have to hold on to them. Just like you don't have to hold on to that creepy picture on the wall. You can really take it down and take it off your property. I find that I'm often giving people permission to live from their hearts and to have belongings in their space that really inspire them, support them. And I'm really hoping that through what we're living through right now with this pandemic, that people are getting clearer and clearer what they truly value about being alive, about their belongings, about their relationships with people, the deliciousness of a hug, if you're somebody who loves to hug, the deliciousness of being in person and being able to look into a beloved one's eyes and feel their energy and feel their presence. And hopefully that's something that people have discovered that they deeply value. And it's less about the next blingy thing that might turn into clutter 5 years from now, but really about cultivating meaningful, high quality relationships with people who generally lift you up and treasure you, see the goodness in you, and hold space for your imperfections and all those foibles and quirks. Maybe they just laugh with you at your quirkiness, but there's that deep acceptance and love that gets exuded and celebrated. So hopefully we'll get to celebrate one another. It's kind of like, what if we didn't focus so much on appearance and haircuts and really cultivated the content of our characters? You know, what kind of world would we live in now? And with our space, not everybody wants the same things, and it's okay. You know, that's what makes us unique. And yet I think most people want to be heard, seen, and valued. I think most people want to have some sense of safety and peace in their lives and in their experiences of being alive. So I think we're connected in our joys and our celebrations, in our love, and in our grief, quite frankly, in the things that are really hard, and that we find common ground in our ability to grieve the loss of loved ones, submerging our own joy, that we get to grieve and love, because our grief is often a measure of how deep we have loved another human being. That was a long rambling.
But it's okay though. It kind of submerging joy. Well, actually, a lot of folks do that, and funny enough, the appearance thing. I mean, folks may be complaining a lot about the lack of a haircut and everything, but at the end of the day, they probably really don't care too much, because some folks went outside with their drawers on just to get their mail.
That's right. That's right. Well, and knowing that some people are, navigating all kinds of illness, not just the virus, but it could be cancer or heart disease or a different kind of respiratory ailment. they're grieving, they're challenged financially. And so, like, how are we gonna navigate with some dignity all of the challenges that people may be facing? And then there are those that aren't facing the intensity of the challenges, and how can then we lift others and be a beacon of hope for those people? So yeah, kind of less about, I mean, yes, take care of yourself, but wow, to not be consumed energetically with that, but really focus on, God, what do I care about? How can I care about another human being today? What can I do in love and service for another human being?
Ah, yes, indeed, that care with a big, huge heart indeed. That's right. Maybe bigger than the Great Wall. That's how big the heart is, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of science now that there's energy that actually exudes from the heart. And we know now from neuroscience that the body actually takes in so much information. It's not, we're not just we're not just our minds. We're this whole heart, body, physical space. Yes, our thoughts, but our thoughts aren't the only only thing on board. We even have interoception, right? We have that sense of our inner body. We have visceroception. I love to talk about the 8 senses that we actually have. So being able to sense the emotions in the heart and in the body. Those body cues of knowing we're hungry or knowing we have to take that bio break, those are all inside the body. And then there's proprioception. And that's our relationship to the belongings in our space. So knowing where our body is relative to the furniture, to this water bottle, that my hands are touching the water bottle, that sensation of my body's relationship to the things in my space. And all of those are really, really important. And they're part of self-awareness. When we're not so busy in our thoughts, we can actually take in the sensory experiences in our lives with a great deal of presence and awareness for those experiences, and then flow to the next experience that we're having.
Oh, yeah, and you are so definitely right about that. And that's probably one of the most beautiful things about the times we're living in. It's like, yeah, pandemic, yeah, people are dying. Sorry for all of the folks who've lost loved ones. It's a serious matter, but at the same time, it's still one of the best times to be alive because folks hundreds of, heck, even decades ago, didn't have access to all this information to learn more about themselves besides just the mind and just whatever books you may come across. Like now you can actually access information from other parts of the world that may have been originally hidden, and that can actually better help us to live better in today's society with not just the mind but also the body and the spirit in our whole body. So it's so true right there. It's like, yeah, kind of like with what you mentioned earlier with the deliciousness of a hug, which is so darn true because hugs
Whew.
are awesome. I'm like, 'cause I remember one lady, she was a fellow author. She was on the show before. I bought her book and she was friendly before, but after the hugs, like, wow, she must have really felt something different because when I mentioned how one of her book covers are calling out to me, and that was her first ever book, that it felt like a different energy was there. It's like a transfer of energy, and it makes you feel a lot better. It's just having a good platonic hug, nothing strange or no ulterior motive, just
No, no.
sharing a moment of
Right.
energy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a, well, and feng shui, it's a lot about energy. It's all about what we call qi or energy. And like you're describing the hug, there's this energy exchange. There's this energy experience that you and I are having in this conversation right now. That's filled with a lot of dignity, a lot of respect, curiosity, right? And reverence even, right? And then to have the physical things, our physical things exude energy. I know a lot of times you think, okay, I can understand that things are alive with energy when it's my pet, my dog, my cat, a tree, a flower, and yet we have stories about our physical objects. And those stories are what bring the physical objects to life. And hopefully we have a heartfelt association with those physical belongings that nourish and support our lives. So for instance, I have a whole story about this flag that I got from one of my closest friends, and she got it for me at a transition time in my life. But it's like these three words that kind of embody the essence of who I am. I know I'm so many more things, and including goofy and sometimes totally imperfect and flawed and quirky. But living and loving and laughing, she knew that about me. And so for me, it's not just a flag or a piece of cloth with those words on it. It's my connection to that really close friend. And my invitation to people is often to have those kinds of items in your life that have that whole rich story of, and then it becomes this energy exchange that you're experiencing every time you're with that object, or you're in the experience of sitting at the dining room table that might have been your grandmother's dining room table, and all the memories that are associated that hopefully are really loving for you. And if they're not, can you do something to soften the energy, or let it go to somebody who would actually just appreciate the object and not have the stories associated with it? Yeah, the energy exchanges are really, really important. The energy of the heart, the energy of our thoughts, the energy of our actions and our deeds, and then the physical space and what we're creating in the physical space to have comfort, safety, flow, and less clutter, for sure.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And for those listening, the flag she's talking about, she's got this fabulous flag in the background that says "Live, Laugh, and Love." For the folks who listen, it's like, what flag is she talking about?
Yeah.
Since we don't do video yet on this podcast, but you know what? Let me just clarify for the folks just hearing this. But
Right.
yes, indeed.
Right.
And it's so true. It's like we're earthly beings having a heavenly experience, and it's acknowledging that energy in us, the ones that we carry, and energy around us, and like even decluttering when necessary. So, have you ever thought of, well, then again, I guess, well, since decluttering is part of your thing, so I guess really home organizing would be a part of that altogether, since it's part of the feng shui thing altogether.
Absolutely. And often it's a first step before you even begin to arrange objects, to just make sure that the furniture and things that are in your space are items that you actually love. In fact, that's one of the core practices. So the three principles of feng shui are that everything's alive with energy, everything is changing. Hello. Right? Or the energy and everything is changing, and that we're connected. Everything's connected. So as I was saying earlier about the proprioception, we're connected. My feet are connected to the floor that I'm standing on right now. You're connected to the things that are in your physical space right now as we're engaged in this conversation. And energetically, we're able to hear one another and be in this experience. So all those connections. So those are the three principles. And then the practices are to live with safety, comfort, and flow, to live organized, live simply, kind of simplify. So declutter, let go of the things that you don't need 200 pieces of Tupperware. Maybe you don't need 200 black skirts. Just kind of like narrow it down to the ones that you actually love and wear on a regular basis. Yeah. So what do you actually leave and use, and then live with belongings that you love? That's the third practice in feng shui. Yep.
Sweet. Some practices we all got to live by, indeed. Because it's so amazing. Like, I've noticed a difference where it's like I've had my room cluttered before, and then after a cleanup session, it's like there's so much more energy that's flowing outward and able to get more stuff done. And it's like a better place of productivity and getting stuff done as opposed to a place where it's like, okay, this is a little much cluttered. I need to stop being lazy and actually making sure that organizing some books and chairs and things like that and just getting things organized. It's amazing the difference when you actually take the time to make sure you're not in a cluttered space. It's actually better for your psychological health too.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. Oh, people, exactly your story of that feeling more energized. It's like you literally can breathe. I've had people say, "Oh my gosh, I can breathe in this space," and the freedom that people experience, and also mental clarity. Physical clutter often signifies that things might feel, confused in the mind, and so when you clear that clutter on the desk, it allows for for the mental clarity. It's an amazing experience, and most people have had it, and then it's just a matter of staying on top of it. It's not like one and done. It's an ongoing experience. It's kind of like your kitchen, right? You cook a meal, and then you want to clean up afterwards. And if you haven't cleaned up after a whole week, you pretty much just want to go, okay, let's do carry out, right? Because who wants to cook in a kitchen that's just full of a sink full of dirty dishes and countertops that are full of dirty plates and dishes and pots and pans. So yeah, it's an important and lovely practice that can be so good for our souls, and that experience of breathing room and freedom, just like you've described, walking in that room and it feels better. We intuitively know that, but then feng shui, the wisdom of feng shui lets us know that the reason for that it is this relationship. There's always a relationship happening between your space and this this thing, your mind, your heart, your body. Yeah. I know this is, it's the safety, comfort, flow, but it just occurred to me. I've worked with people who, they had the coffee table with the sharp cornered edges. And it was like, oh my gosh. And everybody kept harming themselves on the sharp corner. And it was visually beautiful. So here's another idea to share with people. Sometimes furniture or belongings are visually beautiful, but they're not designed for the comfort and safety of the human body. So if you find that there are things that you're stubbing your toe on or that are literally harming your body, maybe soften them with like the table, maybe soften it with a cloth. So that sharp corner isn't sticking out, or change it up at some point for the oval shaped or the rounded, the softer cornered, the rounded cornered edges. It's amazing what we might bring in our space that is comfortable and safe, and what might literally be poking us every day. It's kind of like my son couldn't stand the socks that had the seams in them. He's just had that sensitivity. He called them sock boogers. And
Okay.
and it was funny because I was just like, I get it. Like, okay, let's, cut that. So it's not this constant irritant, because when there's that constant irritant in our, with our clothing or something in the space, it's a distraction, right? From living our purpose, our passion, what brings us joy, what could be moving our life forward. Because we're that the mind just, and the body goes, oh man, that discomfort, kind of like a paper cut, right? It's so tiny, and yet it can hurt so intensely and distract us from what we really want to focus on. Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right about that because it's really kind of about I guess it's like the whole classic form versus function sort of thing. It's like, yeah, this coffee table, it looks so fabulous. It's dapper and gorgeous, but Do we have to stub our toe or scrape our knee every time we walk past it?
Right. Right. Or it's like the jacket that just doesn't fit your body, right? I mean, it may look fabulous on somebody else, but on you, it just no, like find the clothes that actually make you feel comfortable in your own skin. I think that's a lot of what this is can we feel comfortable in our own skin and then find the right fit, whether it's belongings or clothing or relationships or a career path. When you're aligned, man, there's just like, wow, you'll just like shred the distractions, right? And it won't even matter if you happen to get a paper cut, because you'll be so excited about what you're doing. Like, oh yeah, okay, I'll grab a Band-Aid and let's get back to this really cool thing that I'm working on, right? So we can put it in some kind of perspective. But if your life is filled with, like we talked about earlier, kind of in the introduction, you mentioned kind of those soul sucking activities, those things that you feel obligated to do, but they don't make your heart sing, the things that you think others think that you're supposed to be or do. Oh man, by the end of the day, you're just like, and burdened by other people's expectations, other people's demands, and you kind of might lose yourself in all of that. And so when a bump comes along, it might just take you right down to the ground. So it's a process of then letting go of what's not aligned and saying yes to the things that just wake you up and make you want to get out of bed. And I love the sound of music. So, dream, live that dream that will need all the love that you can give every day of your life for as long as you live. The Rodgers and Hammerstein lyric from Climb Every Mountain. It's like that, because life can be challenging, even when you're in your passion, even when you're completely aligned. You could have a tech glitch, or the power goes out, or the email didn't go through, or whatever. But if you're in that aligned place and you've let go of most things that were distracting you from that alignment, those relationships or those activities, you can stay the course because your heart and your soul are so invested and committed into that deeper passion that even the fear just kind of takes a back seat, and you're just not so scared anymore, because you know that this dream and this vision and this purpose is so much bigger than you and your fears and the paper cut, right? Because you can keep going. But if your life is burdened by physical clutter in your heart, unresolved past hurts and slights and woundings and pains, man, it's just life is just gonna start to like feel really like drudgery, and we're not here to suffer, and we suffer. But I don't believe that's like the purpose of our lives. I think a purpose of our lives is to live in love and in service and in joy, and to really cultivate that witness inside of us that just can be quiet and notice all of these things. Notice when it feels off and when it feels really spot on, like you're in your sweet spot and you're in that space of love and service and in your passion, and you'll keep going no matter what curveball comes along, because curveballs will come along. It's like the design of life, right? Woo!
I got you hyped up. This is great.
God,
And so true about the curve.
sorry. Woo!
That's right. Make sure you leave some money in the offering plate. We'll pass around Laura's offering plate.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Well, sounds like somebody's embodying the power of their new fabulous book, Live Inspired. So for those who want a quick introduction into what awaits in this fabulous book with a fabulous heart on the cover, what can they look forward to?
Well, there's lots of stories from my life experiences, and then reflections about those stories, as well as wishes for the readers. There's poetry, and the essence of this book is self-discovery, learning to be human and real, and look at shame in the face, and not let that be the thing that doesn't allow you to become the person that you really, really know that you are, that your heart knows that you are. Because here's the thing, the heart knows the kind of person, the quality person that you are. And so this book is imbued with love, with stories of resilience, stories of overcoming, hilarity. There's a story about, oh my gosh. So there's 4 sections: living awake, living true, living joyously, and living beyond. And in the living joyously, there's a story about how I met the man that is my significant other now. I call him my sweet love, because he is. It's the best love relationship, but it's quite hilarious how I got there. I didn't know about internet dating. There was so much I didn't understand, and I created a handle because I love the poetry of Mary Oliver. I created my handle, Wild Geese MO, for Mary Oliver, and Wild Geese was the title of one of my favorite poems that she wrote. There's several that I love that she's written. And then 11, because I think 11 is a cool number, right? So my handle was Wild Geese MO 11. Well, I knew nothing about Urban Dictionary. Oh gosh, right? And I go, because of course my computer just like blows up, and all I had put was, oh, somebody who will make me laugh, right? I didn't say anything else. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And that happened. But at any rate, I took myself off that site because I was like, okay, I need a Sherpa guide. I really can't I need to just do it the old fashioned way, meet somebody in person. But, I did the deeper work of forgiveness. I'd been in a long-term marriage, have 2 beautiful kids. They're adults now, love them dearly. But I took down the single woman print in my bedroom. I read the 21 Days to the Love of Your Life by Kak Young, and did the 36 questions, wrote answers, cried, and wrote from my heart and soul, and then burned it on day 22 as she advised. But they were 36 questions about the getting describe all kinds of things about the kind of love relationship that you really, really want to have. And 4 months later, and 3 years after the Wild Geese, I went to a Singles Mingles event, and sitting diagonal from me, I was only there for 45 minutes, and I had gotten peace. Like, I wasn't yearning, I wasn't hungry. Often they say, what is it? Don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry. Well, don't date when you're just like, you're, oh my God, life will not be right until I get this. And it really ultimately is like coming home to your own soul and your own goodness, and then going out and being open and receptive to what could happen. So I went to this Singles Mingle event, and he smiled and twinkled at me. I treated it like a business networking. I had my book. I mean, I was ridiculous. No, I had a great time. They were talking about nature and travel and art galleries and all kinds of topics that I love. Really nice people. There were 8 men and 4 women. I had a friend who's like, oh, it's going to be all women, Laura. And I was like, well, okay, well then I'll make some new friends. I just stayed open. Any rate, on the 3rd date, so the gentleman sitting kind of corner from, when he smiled at me, he twinkled. And I'm a Feng Shui consultant, so I'm all about the energy, right? And I was like, wow, okay, I saw that. And he reached out in an email, and on our 3rd date, and we were just completely hitting it off and finding all kinds of things in common. And it just generally loved his energy. Again, we're back to that energy exchange, right? And I had done so much inner work on myself at that point, as well as the Feng Shui steps, right? I'd even made a collage of couples, being really loving with each other, and put that up on my wall in the bedroom. And so on the third day, there was this lull in the conversation, and I just said, so do you enjoy reading? And he looked at me, and mind you, this was 3 years after I had shut down the Wild Geese MO11 thing on that dating site. He said, yeah, I love the poetry. In the evenings, I've been reading the poetry of Mary Oliver. Ah, you can't make this stuff up, right? And I was just like, oh my God. And of course I'm laughing. I'm shocked, right? Some part of me is like, okay, this is divine choreography right here, right now. And so the title of that entire story in the book is called He Had Me at Mary Oliver, because he did. And it's 3 years, April 27th, that we've been dating and loving one another. And it's the best love relationship I've ever been in. And the most important thing that I did in preparation for that, and it still, as you can tell, moves me, because receiving someone's love that's so genuine and heartfelt, and then having your own love expressions received and not deflected by another human being is exquisite. There's nothing like it. And it's kind of like, I want this for everybody, for everyone who wants that. I want them to have this experience, right? But the most important thing that I would say about that is the deep, deep work that I did inside my own heart to forgive past experiences, to forgive myself, and the ways that I had interacted in the past that weren't healthy, that weren't kind, right? And the ways that I had been being mean to myself, and to really put an end to that, and open my heart to being gentle with myself, gentle with my fears, gentle with those different younger versions of myself that sometimes still pop up, right? Because I'm human. But to be gentle with them and love them and hold them in compassion, and then, be open to this energy, love exchange with this gentleman. So anyway, that's a story that people could look forward to reading in the book Live Inspired. Yeah, thanks for asking. It's such a great question.
Yeah, indeed. My pleasure. Yes, indeed. Congratulations on 3 fabulous years, and
Thank
congratulations on the 10x multiplier. Pretty sure it'll go on even longer.
you.
For
Thank
let's go
you.
for 30 plus.
Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
exactly. That'd be great.
That's right. Some live, laugh, and love 'em for 30 plus years. Yes, indeed.
That'd be great. I would be blown away. Yeah, I feel like I'm in the bonus round of being alive, honestly. Yeah, life is precious. It's good. And it took a lot to get here. Wasn't easy. Not easy at all.
Amen to that. So, since you're on this little mini interview train, is there a question you wish other radio/podcast hosts would ask you more often?
Wow, that's a great question. Hmm. What are you grateful for? What are you grateful for?
Ah, yes, indeed. Well, I already know what you're grateful for right now, indeed. At least one of them.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, there's so much. Well, and the truth is, I'm grateful for the hard experiences that I had, which I touch on those in the book too. I'm because they taught me so much about being human and being real and having utter compassion for another human being. I'm in this conversation with you, but I imagine, you live long enough, you've gone through something hard. right? And at some juncture, we're gonna, at the very least, lose somebody that we really love, and that's hard, right? And yet, how do we build resilience and overcome that? And I think gratitude is that path to just be able to be grateful for every single experience, even the hard ones, because they mean I'm still alive. I'm still here and I can still grow and I can still learn something and make a different choice next time. It's kind of like the best apology is changed behavior, right? If you can get inside and make that shift, wow, what a different life you can have in the very next moment. Just making that um, shift in your awareness and in your consciousness. So gratitude's the bomb. Yeah. So that's a question that so far I haven't been asked. Yeah.
Woohoo! Well, grateful for your magic indeed. Because the best apology definitely is change behavior. That is so darn true. Because folks can say sorry or I apologize all day long, but if they still do that stupid or evil thing, then it's not really an apology, is it?
No, no. Yeah. And it takes oh, that deep awareness to pause, just take that breath and soften those eyes, ground your body again, and pause. Between stimulus and response there's a space, and in that space lies your response, and the way you respond, there's your power and freedom. That's Viktor Frankl right there, from A Man's Search for Meaning. He's a Holocaust survivor, and I love that quote because I've had to do that. I've had to change behavior that really wasn't serving me or the people that I loved the most. And it can be painful, and yet it can be so liberating, right? Because when you own it and you feel the impact that your unkind words or your unkind deed had on another human being, and you remember what that felt to be kind of on the other side of it, you go, whoa, there's got to be a different way. There's just got to be a different way. And what is that way? And what would love do now? What would compassion do now? What would peace, a peaceful person, do right now? And sometimes it would just be being silent and holding your tongue.
All right, I stop holding my tongue. How you feeling? Let me stop.
I know, I got you. Boom. Yep.
Oh, man. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, this is fabulous indeed. Fabulous indeed. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Yes, in magical indeed. So, coming down to the question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in the current year of 2020 and there is no pandemic, what advice would you give to yourself?
Hmm. Live true to yourself. Live true to your heart. You'll come through. Keep going. You'll come through. It's going to be okay because you're okay.
Ah, yes,
And I
indeed.
love you just the way you are.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's right. It's gonna be okay because you're grand, beyond okay. That's right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, I love it. I love your energy and love the fact that you are just one lovely lady. Yes, indeed. So, for those who need to keep in magical contact with the legendary Laura, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
They can reach out to me through my website. It's www.cherishyourworld.com or loveyourlife.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, so they can reach out to me in those three social media platforms. And then my book, here's the book, Live Inspired. It is available through Amazon.com, Sacred Stories Publishing, Barnes and Noble. It's now available in softcover and an ebook. So if they're interested in actually getting a copy of that book, and then there's these two too. And these are available. This one's available on Amazon. This one's available through my website and on Etsy. Well, and bookstores aren't quite open yet, I don't think. But when they open up again, there are several places that are here that have this available. Malprops and Thrive Massage and Wellness in Columbus, Ohio. So, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure indeed. Will there be an audio coming soon with you reading it of Live Inspired?
I don't yet have plans for that, but I think that would be the bomb. So great idea. Yeah. Not yet, but down the road.
Woohoo! Something to look forward to even more. So there you have it, folks. Go on out there, pick up all of Laura's fabulous books. Her most recent book, Live Inspired. That's when you definitely want to pick up Cherish Your World. Indeed, that gift book of 100 tips to enhance your home and your life. It's purple. So if you love royalty and you love purple, pick up that book as well as Live with Love, Transform Your Life with Feng Shui. So go ahead, pick up all those books. Support Laura and her endeavors so that way she can continue to live, laugh, and love at an exponential rate indeed, folks. That's right. That's right indeed, not left. So any parting words for the folks still listening, Laura?
Yeah, you are loved more than you can even imagine, and you matter to our world, no matter what anyone else has ever said to you or what your thought is saying to you, what a thought might be saying to you right now. It's just not true. You matter. And thank you so much for this conversation and the opportunity to share things that I hold passionately in my heart. Yeah, thank you.
You just got done listening to another powerful, power-packed episode of the Going North podcast. I hope you really enjoyed what you heard. You made it all the way to the end. You get to hear all sorts of goodness. I was the best, but you just got done hearing some goodness. Go check out the guest stuff. It's all in the show notes on the website, donbrightman.com, and also reach out to those that you've just heard as well. And keep rocking it, because you yourself are phenomenal for making it this far, and keep going north.